and the good, yeah, but Ashidele Rinpoche, thank you Rinpoche, so doing also good, Nalola, Tata, Tene, Shitro, Wang, the Rinpoche, Tene, or you got in Jamala, got in Cheshia Yang, and Tata, Nato de Tama, Zom, the Nalo, Rinpoche, Tene, the Taja Nalo, la, teni choka tendu sen mo tongta pache som sam tendu che yu tren nyam yo nang kin la romo chi kawang la teni ngi se traja na lo nyam yo nang kin mo tongta som sam che yu te yin de tata de zerem ke teni ta kobe zo ka le jan nang kin teni tata ohio chi so teni debe tang teni maryland tata garchin canada kure Vancouver chi so teni Digon Dama saya tanga so Mambo chi nyamro go thoni teni reng zerem de teni o teni sin ko be chi jo yen rombo chi te yin de teni rombo che ge ta ta chi teni sharjin na wala ngeni tuje che sia da reng aso loma chama ge chap chen teni rombo che le o teni sheto go kawang tawa na wala yani ka tuje che sia teni yen today Rinpoche going to bestow the Shitro empowerment, so we supplication to Rinpoche, he accepted that Shitro empowerment he going to bestow for us. So I'm going to behalf of all the Sanghas, thank you to Rinpoche, accepted our request and bestow the empowerment, going to bestow empowerment Shitro. So then organized by the DROLMA Buddhist Center in Ohio, Debe and also the she did very hard work for this happening in today the program. Thank you very much, Debe. And also I wanted to thank you to the Maryland and Canada Garchen Dhamma Center and Digon Dhamma Seya, also Garchen Buddhist Institute in Arizona. So many people work together. It's always interdependent, connection each other. So we have this happening today, the special this Rinpoche going to give empowerment for us. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. That's the Garchen Rinpoche song. That's the Garchen Rinpoche so to teach. The you know that 관리 자자소가 고정지는데나 하자가 치와리 그 무슨들이 다붙이지 용디 예 람제가 섬지는 이상이 시고 요이나 이제 심지 sab지 대식도 뭐 요래 그것도 뭐 하나는 수발이데 람당 제버지 가리데 셔초 되었는데 심지 sab지 이제 다다마다 그건 진짜 로아를 정디 메토가 성자wen bar 이제 메네지 메토가 성회는 메토가 용진 좀 빼대 야요 말이지 이제 민소한테다가 타과 사지지들이 고성토를 전에 저 담아를 자지 정말 이제 플라탐지에 되는 요리 되는 이상을 참지 로트도 보고서 내게 로트도 보고지 받들이 랑게 sen desik numbodo tama chale ne majorba 랑 desik timo tata papa namisi hola map dani map지 더 거지 시크로데 sen desik numbo 강 tama 사장 차 송아지 용디 도티 팔람들서 도티는 될 오뇨 왔다 이렇게 다시 좋다 말게지 왕주 삼체들 아치 보이바지 라는 분감진인 따라 용디 때도 청제 요바지 마시가지 내일을 사지 말씀이 고란 잠지 이랬다 동해봐 내가 되는 고를 잡으려요 이때 뭐 또제 봐라 왕탑지를 줬다지 또뭐 또들이 얘랑 시초들 리리리리도 대피는 대신이들이 분감진 시에 봐지 시초들 요래 왕탑지가 싸왔더니 시초를 드리제 고르마 투지치
So I would like to thank Garchen Rinpoche and the main organizer, the Ohio Center, for organizing this empowerment. And actually, it's extremely important to organize these live stream teachings because we directly really establish this connection to the Holy Dharma, and we understand the Dharma's qualities. Generally, we speak about the basis, the path, and the result. And in terms of the basis, all sentient beings possess Buddha nature, as it is explained in the Samantabhadra prayer. And then there is also a path and the result. So the basis, the foundation, the root of all is this Buddha nature. And so now temporarily, this basis of sentient beings, their mind, their Buddha nature, is in an impure, kind of obscured state and appears as the various aggregates, the elements and the sense bases, the sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara. Their minds are like seeds of a flower, and when these seeds ripen, then all the qualities of the flower will become apparent. So fundamentally, there really is no division between all beings. It is just a difference there's only a difference in ripe or being ripe or unripe. But when that seed matures and becomes, then the pure nature that's already there reveals itself. And that is what we call, one then transforms into the enlightened, a Buddha's body, speech, and mind. And so now this is the empowerment of the Shitro, which are the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities or Buddhas. And generally speaking, all the deities are complete within these 100 peaceful and wrathful ones. And their nature is the same. There are some Bhoga-kaya manifestations. And they manifest from the completely pure natural state of the mind, the Buddha nature, that always remains as it is, unchangingly. In the Vajrakilaya practice, it also says that he's the perfect form of the uncontrived or the unfabricated nature. So when one's mind has become completely purified, it's just like polishing a diamond, then all its brilliance will reveal itself. And now during this empowerment of the 100 peaceful and wrathful Buddhas, generally all empowerments are very important, but this one in particular because actually all the empowerments are included within this particular empowerment because it is in the context of the Shitro that we are introduced to the nature of our aggregates, elements, and sense bases. So actually, the qualities of these are already inherent within us. It is just that we have not recognized that. Therefore, it is said if you recognize it, you are a Buddha, and not recognizing it, you are a sentient being wandering in samsara. So temporarily, we have created this kind of a futile state, a meaningless state of samsara. And generally, all the empowerments introduce us to that, but in particular, the Shitro empowerment really introduces us, explains to us the nature of our aggregates, elements, and sense bases, and the qualities that will emerge when these are matured or when these ripen. And so therefore we can say that the Shitro empowerment is really the root of all the empowerments. So thank you for organizing this empowerment.
로지치지도 개체 보여야 화장들이 가사보다 너무 가지고랑 깡들이 너무 집어서 때마 때까 소설 줄룩 소설 때까지 요리 때도 줄룩을 때도 패요리 들이 간상막가 말은 말이와 들인도 봐라 약속은 뭐 줄룩이 때도 패리지 그런 가지를 때 봐봐들이 때도
So then next we come to the historical background of the empowerment, which is extremely profound. And that's why I insisted that this be translated. And because it is important, I'm first going to read it in Tibetan, and then we will read it in English. The story is very important, and also it explains how the origin of these teachings. It is a Dharma teaching or a treasure teaching, and it was discovered by a Drikunkage master, Rinchen Punzok. And so generally, each Dharma teaching has in each lineage, in the various lineages, have their own their dön or the treasure revealer, the one who finds these dharmas. And they appear as emanations, and then they find these dharmas. So, for example, in the Karma Kagyu, they have Karma Lingpa, or in the Nyingma, they have the Chogyu Lingpa. And then in the Drikung Kagyu, for example, in terms of this particular dharma, it was Rinchen Punzok who had revealed the dharma.
대의 체도 자와 시초를 뒤져 원걸 사모 세인의 남나스랑을 랑년부터 투기 자치보 당의 신사 내가 최인배 좀 노지 좀 저바 쪽서 빨리 이거에 돈나 로드나 주도지 때문에 또 바탕제를 빠지는 셔도 삼바상보통 그래서 서바상 보든배 용 진이로라 도제 센소제 내가 저거 넘지 심을 없이 속마다 이 대다 이 대당 나와지도 많이 봐 특동의 대책도 대바 같이 대형 주니다 갑절래 로지 송지 마피나 상신이 바까들라 이 미치베 좀은 저지 som바 이치 공통의 로지는 코제 삼제제 개발 도는 거고 아빠 건드는 거지니 람단 롱주도 먹고 시초람 잠들어서 남라 다다 탑제 디바삼지 담도 송신 자와시 초람 잠진시 제지 시제 풍보 찍들이 봐 디베 급초 비만 중에 시작과 되니我他妈的叫那把说那都把这至少说那的做把进不就这么差出去对吧他们去公把养殖的他们的呢大什么的因为东的龙头讲你就一起把啥个是的人人全部搞了多的了养殖不吃定的这到当把七八斤的5月的驱动这不这种的就把这上面用把工人老公被把经常啥的是了这呢是拉康混着着怕有呢老被忙不的经常呢多少的去什么劲儿记得吧？就是长期就地方他也生的了，要不我人没钱了，前面这不小说话了，不忙说那明白，这种我就把钱谁把上，多的路我就当天明白，要不过这实身上面，前面嘛这边养人这边吃这边就是，那些没得进步，要是人那这边就是80年做拉康进步。把抗疫家的说目前不中的，联邦哪能那就拖就可了，过程说话咋不切，养上让那没把他们去，我把养殖就很多，哪怕农地，各些什么结把用是，做个咋吧，东说、西说、西说、上说、下说，从说的说入做，说入做个是。一个这些，要做这种这个做钢琴没样子，看着上网确实就不把这的别的，忙过了啥些年就结为都不红那么这把人，我大两个在弄来，那人去也不，接，人这些啥，在中华人经济他的阶级上，让这里。多的人他们这些东西，他们也一不啥看这些老板呢，从你配包买嘛，基本日子吃就吃老点些，你都去做啥什么，总的把上网下就是你基本呢，人们经你进去了没？军你落了啥这个问题是什么？是什么容易？除了容易是吧？是上这种不还要做菜出来，老夫去不这呢？上这种这个等因为啥？给这上面有关键刚去吧。人家就是这个要出去家不对不讲身上人事情看着我们身上的吧，所以那么多嘛是稍微学生中吧，实在家不忙不的，基本上出去家不，那当然在那早上这上我当然那么大明白让看着龙阳的天气那么让怎么上的吧，这一节我们真的给这样中。南卡坡个长辈我们经常呢，老忙下马些玩，这送个国外金，这说嘞，爬金，这说嘞爬金，大不能完了，上多把人个人我嘞往弄吃一人吧，新金，去大个地弄了，人把人本地他这些。赶紧点把你的去烧多把糖，大人就告诉爸爸，养上我的说我这个东西，啥时候买不去的嘞？去的嘞什么？家娃些出去就往过来准备，这那么就把人忙的了，那全部那手上都是你就这个事，他们从去家不做了那，这这些不做，我做人去，去找我姐，我去送了这，我去讲。我去청와인에 소천의 남자 소천의 남자 제 담아 그래서 pinchi control to the Javan Chale was saying the G to Ruchi Jati in the Roto Chiki Jati, Don Garchi Mania Tati, it was only J. Chitin was saying, the women of the sea, Javan City of the city, Lord of the city, Javan Chinilo, Javan Chinilo, the Savalama, Number Control Chitap, Barzambo, La Star, the three. Rangatinity, Tartuchi, Cochoti, Rinpoche, three soldiers had something young talk your the young or the young Disney, Lama Disney, Morton, the Dania talk your three said our tendency, Logi, Lama Jibakichi, Modate.
In English then. So it is the Shitro empowerment according to the Yangsab tradition. May all sentient beings, limitless space, have happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly attain the state of enlightenment. For this purpose, I shall receive the profound empowerment of the family that condenses the peaceful and wrathful Buddhas, and after that engage in practice. Contemplating thus, listen with a vast intention of bodhicitta. When listening to the Dharma, you should abandon the 3 defects of the vessel, the 6 stains, and so forth. In brief, in the Vajra Peak Tantra it says, gather your attention and listen with a pure heart. A distracted mind cannot receive the blessings of the Buddhas, such as Vajrasattva. Accordingly, it is important to direct your single-pointed attention to the words and meaning of the Dharma without being distracted by anything else. The Union of the Sun and Moon Tantra says, if you do not know the history, there can arise the fault of distrust in the teachings of the ultimate truth. Therefore, in order to develop trust, a brief account of the history will be given. The original universal Lord of all samsara and nirvana is glorious Samantabhadra. To the infinite assembly of peaceful and wrathful deities, the Sambhogakaya forms that are a natural expression of himself, he taught the Dharma only through signs. The embodiment of knowledge, love, and wisdom of the infinite assembly of peaceful and wrathful deities is known as the Supreme Nirmanakaya, Padmasambhava. The peaceful and wrathful Buddhas who appear in distinct forms, yet who are one with him by nature, imparted on him through mere symbols these instructions of the utterly profound mind, the Gongpa Yangsab, which is the essence of the 6 million Dzogchen Tantras. Although he had received the ultimate transmission in order to generate belief in the minds of disciples, he manifested the display of receiving these extraordinary instructions again from the great Vidyadhara Garab Dorje. Intending to construct the glorious Samye monastery, the Tibetan Dharma king Jisung Detsen invited Guru Padmasambhava to Tibet to pacify the site. After having consecrated the place, the temple was spontaneously accomplished. Many great translators and scholars were invited from India. Numerous sutras and tantras were then translated, and the Buddha Dharma flourished widely. Showing signs of approaching death, the king requested Padmasambhava to grant him the city of immortality. But because the Tibetan people had insufficient merit, some wicked ministers created obstacles, and since the Samaya of the Vajra master was uncompromising, the king's lifespan diminished, and he did not attain immortality. After he displayed his passing into nirvana, his son, the prince Mutikzempo, became king. At that time, in a turquoise-covered room in the main temple at Samye, Guru Padmasambhava's main disciples performed an elaborate Ganachakra feast offering in his presence. Having supplicated the Guru, Padmasambhava granted them the ripening empowerment and liberating instructions of the sublime Dharma of the utterly profound mind, or the Yangsab, together with a prophecy and an entrustment seal. The teachings were then recorded on 6 different scrolls, the color of a conch, turquoise, gold, metal, copper, and onyx, and then hidden as dharmas in Shoto Derdrum on the limestone massif to the north of the great gathering cave of the Dakinis, the secret cave of supreme accomplishment, located on a towering peak. According to the aspiration, the Dharma was revealed by the emanation of King Mutiktempo, as foretold by Padmasambhava when he said, "In the future, in a holy place called Ji, a lord of beings named Ratna will appear. The Vajra awareness holder will hold the name Dharma along with his birth name. He will be born in the year of the snake to a father of the Jura clan. Upon birth, he will be skilled in various arts. He will be brilliant and wise. He will be accomplished in the 3 higher trainings and the Dharma of the ultimate truth. He will be a great being who belongs to the family of secret mantra. The one named Ratna will be devoted to my teachings. At the age of 12, he will open the door of this profound Dharma." So that's the end of the prophecy. And then, as predicted, Rinchen Puntsok was born in Jikung Gunyagang, a place where the 10 virtues are complete, not far from the limestone massif of Shoto Derdrim in the north, the place where Guru Padmasambhava had practiced. Born into the family line of the Drugyal Juram, his father was Chuki Gyarpo Tempe Gyamtsen. His mother was Sunam DROLMA, and she possessed the signs of a wisdom Dakini. Rinchen Puntsok was given various names. On the outer level, he is referred to as the Dharma King Gyalwang Rinchen Puntsok. On the inner level, he is called the Vidyadhara Natsok Rangdrol. On the secret level, he is known as Namchak Mebar or Kadrol Longyang. He revealed the Dharma from inside a round-shaped rock in the Dakini sky cave at Keroyang Dzom. He did not disclose the Dharma for many years, and finally, at the command of the Dharma protectors, he recorded the contents on paper as an earth Dharma. And he also had a pure vision, where he traveled to the copper-colored mountain Pure Land, where he received the empowerment, transmission, and instructions directly from Padmasambhava. Thereafter, these teachings were gradually disseminated and transmitted to karmically fortunate ones. This Dharma possesses both lineages of the oral tradition and the old treasure teachings. This particular empowerment ritual, which condenses the peaceful and wrathful Buddhas, is taken from the set of teachings on the 5-fold Yangzab recorded on the red copper scroll. Now the names for the lineage gurus. The great Vidyadhara Natsok Rangdrol, his sacred heart son Tsungme Chogyal Puntsok, his 3 brothers Dashi Puntsok, Guncho Rinchen, and Choki Jakwa. The 2 younger brothers then passed it to Lo Chinle Namgyal and J. Dharmakirti, who passed it to Benchen Guncho Lungdup. And the latter 2 passed it to Gyawang Chinle Sangbo and Dondrup Chogyal, who gave it to Tenzin Dodrul, Lodrul Choki Gyamtsen, and Gar Choki Nima. The latter 2 passed it to Che Choki Nima, who gave it to Tenzin Peme Gyamtsen, who gave it to Chamyan Choki Gyamtsen, who gave it to Chichen Lodr Gyamtsen, who gave it to Gyalwang Chunyin Norbo, who gave it to the kind root guru of this author, the perfect guide Gunchok Chogyap Sangbo. He graciously imparted it on me. So this is the author speaking. This lineage is pure and has not been sullied by Samaya breakers. And then Rinpoche said regarding my own lineage, I've received the empowerment from the Siddha, the accomplished master, Siddha Gujo Tenzin Rinpoche, and also Lo Bongzhu Rinpoche, who is Newton Dorje. And so this was the main gurus, but then I have received it again and again. And so that was the historical background. And again, the historical background, to know the history, is very important.
Tata koso jakab kashi rawang jakab diasesa yore. Oh, rawang diba, di rawang tere. Wag rawang tere, tini ngini rawang nishina. Rang rikpara rawang thomni. Jewa ni jewa, chebla. Nikam thori song, diataba, di rawang thosong. Tatok sanje je kobang thoba rawang thosong. Dewi wang jiwa tachi mori tere, hajang tachi dong tere. Wang chepta kang na o, ta rawang ka tong da resi. 제도 보면 이거 지하철 탐색 라왕을 해서 내는 라왕 톱들이 소리 나도 이제 이거 라마 개වි신이 라왕을 봐줘리 내는 이제 파체들이다 저기 화가 나나 체들들이 체다 송나 가지고 마타 나서 봐 그래서 라왕 요봐 내가 산이 마셔 봐 샘되어 제들이 살이 샤나 내가 좀 놓쳤고 네 내가 라왕 톱이야 디 라왕 디 지랑한테 수남한테 연구를 수남시 바카로 왕디 수남시 바다 삼지를 안 털어 지랑한테 톡거리 그때 타면 인증을 지를 정말 왕 가리 쉬나 왕 지금 가리나 니 바티 때때서 좋고요래 이러고 대바지 수 들으라는 데 바티서 톡고요래
Now, just in general about an empowerment. Now, Jigten Sumgön, so it belongs to the secret mantra, the Vajrayana. And Jigten Sumgön had said the difference between the sutras and the tantras is the empowerment. And all the deities have an empowerment. So this term empowerment, it contains this word power. So you're given some kind of an authority by receiving an empowerment. And that's an important point to understand. It's important that you understand what kind of authority, what kind of power you're being granted when receiving an empowerment. So the way we can understand this term empowerment is actually very similar to how we understand it in a worldly, in a mundane way. So in this world, for example, there are some countries that we say that they are independent countries, they are free countries. And because they are free, the people there experience some happiness. So it's that kind of freedom, that kind of autonomy. That is actually exactly what we are speaking about here during the empowerment. It's the same kind of freedom or autonomy, but it goes far beyond this life. So the empowerment, the freedom or the independence that we receive when we receive an empowerment is something that will be with us also in future lifetimes, from lifetime to lifetime. As a result, in future lifetimes, temporarily, one experiences then the happiness of the three higher realms and so on. And that's the kind of freedom or autonomy. You will have the freedom to experience temporary happiness, and also it will lead to the attainment of the ultimate freedom, which is the attainment of enlightenment. So that's the reason why an empowerment is so precious, so important. And so now also this empowerment, if you understand the meaning of it, then no matter how many empowerments you receive, even if you receive hundreds of different empowerments, once you have understood this point, you will know that, this is the meaning of empowerment. It means like freedom or independence, just like we experience freedom and independence in our worldly lives, but this freedom goes beyond this life, and it's for the purpose of all future lifetimes too. So that's how we should understand the term freedom in relation to the empowerment. And so then, who has attained such a freedom? There are a lot of people in the world who have attained such freedom, even in a mundane sense, in a samsaric sense. Even just in this life, there are people, for example, who experience a greater degree of well-being and happiness, or power, or freedom, or merit. And as a result of that, they experience a greater degree of happiness. And then they will experience that maybe until they die. And then until they die, they experience happiness. And even after they die, many of them are ready to go to Deva Chen. So that's the kind of freedom that can be attained. So it's the very same freedom or independence. And freedom comes ultimately from merit. And merit is love. So it's the freedom of love. You attain freedom through love. And so that is something that's extremely important. And I ask you all to keep that in mind. That's very important. And so then you will understand the meaning of any empowerment, no matter which empowerment you receive. So that's the most important point, because then when you understand the actual meaning of the empowerment, then depending on your level of understanding, your aspiration, your faith it will grow in strength.
Bedo sato samaya mane balaya bedo sato sinoba dade dome bawa sade kayo meba supo chayo meba angara to meba sawa tete meba yata sawa kama tata me tata kiam guru ha ha ho bangave asawa tata gata beta ma me mza mza bawa ma samaya sato na sawa tata gata be kika samaya jere o ram yang ka Oma sawa bata meganya kakaya anza Oma sawa bata samaya za sawa bata samaya za sawa bata samaya Oma ga sawa gamana adiyene bena tota oma Bayowa oma ga sawa gamana adiyene bena tota oma Oma ga sawa gamana adiyene bena tota Bezo sawan balinda kaka eka sawan balinda kaka eka sawan balinda kaka eka so some children go but the jet home money think that you got it no kota ki the dunga da ije ra prebe to get the top to ma on the last of the war so go the get tachi la the report ma Duce doctor deve sta ma buono si va sta tutte deve sapere che non doa che cade me lo sa che vai non c'è se va fatto sentina lunga è pa che me tutto tutto di lunga è tutto senti con male dottor la pa dove già deve stare con le manda che un sembane come già na baya Bearandoyo Home Dani want to try it to Batoja. They also tamp amico da town was not to go to water the poverty. Tommy the big of the dollar coming out of Baja Casa. Mo de da lo de so ba si ya sa ti to ji po de ta de 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 me ya mi ji de si xin gan dan le yun de me dan da me je ba da ra ja ra ja 만남가다 예배 심진 당시 샘지바는 우리들이 샘지바의 가래리 샘지바디 전남 남가다 뭐지 뭐라 지는 나데 다데 바디리 데레치들이 동네 말에 다데 도리 저기 오 다다 나리 코코리 니디 다지 이디들이 이 제외라들이 메라시바데 다데도 왜 열탐지들이 이나 퍼려나 내가 들이벨 그거 그다 요소를 이 파욕 잡을래 대비를 돈 대체를 가리 팽거지 대체 다투 양다 야되면 다 파파는 다 시반데 나 저번 샘 매와리 샘도 지고야 뭐 차는 거래 Mendra Tonda Teri, Teri, and Mendra Pronanzi. Then Mendra Tata, Gemela Ribedi, Laruna Mendra, Mendra Tonzi, Hajam Ten Sabo, Quachimo, or a tritati to talk to Mendati Yayore, Tate Pagenzaman, Kajuba Tabi Hako, Yore, Tonadi Hakonanzi, check the Batista Mendra Pronanzi.
So all sentient beings, limitless as space, they have a mind. And so what is this mind actually? The mind is actually like space, but not recognizing that, beings think that there is this me, there is this thought of an I that actually exists. So we cling to this idea of there being an identity. And it is said all suffering without exception comes from wishing for one's own happiness. So it's that self. And now you should recognize it's this thought of me, this divisive mind that thinks that's me and that's him over there. I'm me and he is him. So there's this it's the dualistic grasping, the dualistic perception of self and other. And to let go of it, we offer a mandala. And when we offer a mandala, we offer everything that we own and that we do not own, the entire universe. Everything is offered. And the reason why we do that is because there is an auspicious connection here, kind of an interdependent connection that when you mentally let go and give away everything, then it's like taking off a heavy burden from your mind. And then the mind becomes so much lighter and relieved. And so that's why we make the mandala offering. And that's the benefit of it. And then if you keep offering the mandala again and again, then eventually this thought of me, this self, will disappear, and this heavy burden will be taken off your mind, and you feel so much lighter. So that's the meaning of the mandala offering. So next, therefore, please offer a mandala. And we shall offer the mandala according to Milarepa's Guru Yoga practice, because the meaning of this particular mandala offering is very profound. And that is why we have also now placed it into our prayer book at the center. And probably all the followers of the Kagyu lineage in the world are familiar with this particular mandala offering. So the meaning is extremely profound. Each of the words in there is extremely profound. So now, please offer a mandala. Okay. So I don't know if you have the yellow prayer book, but in our prayer book, it is on page 7. An array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms, if I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. My body enjoyments and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements and sense sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mind, I offer them, by offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping. Completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and concepts of arising, cessation and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial, the supreme mandala is the natural state. By offering it, may I be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Om Guru Devanda Kini Ratna Mandala Pratitsa Soha. Guru Devanda Kini Ratna Mandala Pratitsa Tene mendra prabhatam jesini sobta yusuf jesanje torje tene javaste tujungo nambala tene namkakama pebio tene tetamje lami tasata tetamje ke kebjondo ngare tene dorje lobung kangyo tege tene dipongam jemsi tam saje tamje dorje wachi boyo tene tetavatri mendra prabhatam so adakyo
답변은 메토 사고무스 상황을 쪽으로 다들 초대해서 고서 비슷해서 그래. 그렇지. 그래서 사람이 받아 사초가 세면 뭐지. 예비로 돼. 사바다 니지리. 나처럼 매화적 되리. 사람이 받아 사초가 세면 고고래.
And then I think that just by having offered the mandala, and all the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, they come to the space in front of you, appearing in the form of the 100 peaceful and wrathful Buddhas, and confer the empowerment. So actually, in a way, I become their translator, because they're here in the empowerment, and any Vajra master, the Vajra master giving the empowerment, becomes like the translator of these deities, helping to transmit the blessings. And so generally, our own aggregates, elements, and sense bases are directly connected to the Buddhas. So after having made a mandala offering, we will repeat some supplications. And so it is just like first to be a ripening in the process. First, we are like the seed of a flower. And so first you have that seed, and then you plant that seed into the ground. And then you think, maybe I should pour a little water in it. And that is like the blessing that you next receive. The blessing is the precious bodhicitta. It's the altruistic mind. It's love and compassion. And it's that which we don't currently have so much of. And that is what we need to receive. So therefore, in brief, you need to understand the blessing. The blessing really is bodhicitta.
사바체 미바데 조다버레 제 사바체 미바데 유라오는 심지도 외지를 하지 흥게시를 흥게데 쳐다버레 근데 왜 대식이 뭐 코랑들이 나 이거 계속 그러래 이 다버서는 동거래 사바다 흥게데 이제 조다 쳐다버레 근데 양다양도 세도 나한테 차광다버레 됐다 고거래
And so if you want to grow, then continue to grow your seed, the flower seed, you also need some warmth or heat. So the seed needs both. It needs water, and also it needs warmth. And then it will grow. So right now, our mind is like that seed. Right now, it is like a solid, completely solidified, like a hardened thing. And like an ice block. And what melts this ice block is the warmth of immeasurable love. If you have immeasurable love, and then, for example, you see a suffering sentient being, naturally compassion arises. And that is like water. So immeasurable love is like the warmth, and compassion is like the water. And if you have both, then that seed, your Buddha nature, can grow into a sprout. So this is how you should think about this. So think that love and compassion are like warmth and water. And if you develop them again and again in your mind, then the ice block of self-grasping will melt. So you need to understand self-grasping to be like an ice block.
Lama Gunzang Shitro Dan Yedan Drake Chujong So Tugji Dala Dergongte Jinkor Then Yukpan Tsar.
In English, Guru, Samantabhadra, peaceful and wrathful deities, Yidams, Dakinis, and Dharma protectors, please consider me with compassion and let me enter the mandala.
제가들 접하는 용서 하자 그런 쪽도와 추절렌을 박차세 내가 세도 도반겨서 다쳐도 까와서 대마시 바지 다들 잠깐만 타고 시기서 로치서 좋아하지 로치서 다 잡고 쳐서 제마 대슬이잖아 로치서 좋아요 제가 까봐서 대마서 내 세라들이 다쳐지 내가 세도 톱톱고 요래서 내가 저기 내가 강리랑 그 센데 자국도 절이 잡지 쳐다 잡아 차 빼지서 센데 박사세서 그러더니 제가 사실 거성이 어디 정거리 설문에서 어디 정거리 때문에 하마고래 때 하마고 달았더니 그 다르더니 저기 요래 그러니까 가래를 가사는다 너나 몇점 되는 게 가야만 통하다 그래 가래만 통하더라는 게 샘들랑 그 세드 정말 차는 들 용띠인데 또 요거 하마고 다 때려야지 샘들이 매일들이 세주 거성 그런지 주가 생나고 또 또 주가 생고 나왔다 그래라지 이런 롱거 자성다 이 주가 잡았다 세계 당전 로를 놀로 핀다 사지 거성 그 용띠인데 주 샘은 주지어야 하고 마서 온데 뒤들 들면 달치기요 해지
And so then in an empowerment text it says, you're fortunate ones, all of you. And so that is because you receive the Dharma and your mind is turning toward the Dharma, is becoming one with the Dharma. And turning toward the Dharma, then you seek the refuge of the three jewels. And so that's why you are a fortunate one. And being a fortunate one, you can attain the result. So what's the result to be attained? The result to be attained is to melt the ice block. So it turns into ocean water. And that happens when the karmic imprints in the mind have become completely exhausted. When they are all gone, then the qualities of the Buddha's three kayas will naturally appear in your mind. So actually, that is a potential that you already have, but we have not recognized that potential. We don't know that we can actually become like that. And as a sign of this lack of seeing, we are wearing this blindfold. And you can, if you don't have a blindfold, you can use anything else. You can use a katak or a scarf or anything else, or just close your eyes. Basically, you see nothing when you have this blindfold on. And what is it that we don't see? What we have not seen is that when our mind becomes completely pure, then there are these qualities of the three kayas that actually are inherent within our true nature. So that is something that we have not recognized. When the mind matures, then the qualities of the three kayas will naturally reveal themselves. So these are the Dharmakaya quality in the mind is our space-like nature. And the Sambhogakaya is like a rainbow. And the Nirmanakaya is like rain, falling down to benefit the sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara. So the significance of the blindfold is a sign of basically us saying, I didn't know, so until now I didn't know that the three qualities, the qualities of the three kayas are actually something that I have and that actually I have the potential to develop.
Sawa hakol ni simji ji dongye chi ni je chi de chu jo sawa lang su ko jo song tongba de chu ga de wa la lo ko jo sawa la chu ko jo mo su ma la ri pa ke song ji za hakol gom ja ji gom ja lo se tongba ri na to chi chang ma do de chu ga o de ha jo ji bo de de wa ji bo da de le lo ko ni go yo re lo chu lo ko se mam ta ji de le se mam ta ji de le zo go re this our hakon, Shiva Sawa take Hakor, 다 때려 죽고 좀 싸웠을 가리래. 진짜 동네 소리는 진짜 그래. 진짜 때려 죽고 요래서.
Chitsimila Ripa had said, he explained how the three kayas are actually complete within our own mind already now. We already have the seeds of the three kayas. And how we can recognize them is when we meditate. So when you meditate in a state of Mahamudra, and you gain the experience of complete emptiness without a single thought. And that's your Dharmakaya nature. And then that state is a truly very pleasant state. It is very joyful. And from this bliss, from this joyful state, the quality of the Sambhogakaya arises. And then this state is also a state that is very clear. It is cognizing. And with a cognizing ability, one cultivates compassion. It is because with clarity, one becomes aware of other people's suffering around oneself. So therefore, compassion arises. And so from this, then, the quality of the Nirmanakaya arises. And that's why the Nirmanakaya arises from clarity. So Milarepa said that from emptiness arises the Dharmakaya. We recognize the Dharmakaya. And through bliss arises the Sambhogakaya, and through clarity arises the Nirmanakaya. And the seeds of these three kayas can be seen already now when you meditate, for example. So when you meditate and you gain this experience of, then you feel that there is not a single thought in my mind. The mind is completely empty. So you have this awareness of complete emptiness that is without any concepts. So that's the Dharmakaya. And then you recognize that, oh, this is actually quite a pleasant state. I'm very happy now. And so from this bliss, the Sambhogakayas and the Sambhogakaya Pure Lands are created. And then there's also a clear knowing capacity pervading that. There's this clarity that is aware. And that's the Nirmanakaya, because clarity is connected to compassion, because with clarity, with awareness, you become aware of the suffering of sentient beings. And when you are really aware of their suffering, then compassion arises. And from this quality of compassion, then Nirmanakaya arises. So then in the empowerment text, it mentioned the Samaya. So in the Vajrayana, in the secret mantra, we have Samaya. And the Samaya that was just mentioned here is to not share the meaning of what is being said to those who do not have any devotion in the Vajrayana teachings. And that's because if you would share it to someone who doesn't have devotion in those teachings, then they will cultivate a wrong view. So that's why it becomes a secret activity. So it is hidden from those who could cultivate wrong views or breaches of Samaya. So in order to attain this freedom through the empowerment, we must keep the Samaya. And the essence of all samaya in brief is that no, but if you do not keep your samaya, then you cannot become liberated from suffering. So then what is the samaya? The samaya is love, it's loving kindness. From love arises compassion. If you separate yourself from love, then you separate yourself from warmth, and then again the mind becomes like an ice block. So therefore, in order to melt the ice block, you need the samaya of love. So that's the life force of the empowerment, is the samaya.
왕춘 담책 요리 담책의 마소를 빼서 같이 보여리 왕 쇼니가 말해 때라고요. 대사와니 말이 담책 마소 상태를 잘 숨었더니 나디들아 니망도 좀 라니가 차거리지 니망도 좀 레서 니 성수는 좀 로래지 왕춘 담책 말이 일단 좀 상태 양성을 줬다 니 성수는 로래지 대시와리만 왕춘 담책은 왕마저 담책 내가 대사와니 말이 대고고래지.
So one important point to understand about samaya is that, because some people don't really understand that so clearly, and that is, now some people say that, when you receive an empowerment, then you have to also keep the samaya. And so therefore, if you think you can't keep the samaya, it's better not to receive the empowerment. So that's what they say, but actually that is far from being true. Because it doesn't actually matter whether or not you receive the empowerment, because the samaya is love. And if you separate from love, even if you have not received empowerment, if you separate from love, then naturally your mind is in a state of self-clinging and the three poisons, the afflictive emotions. And if these are in your mind, then you will go into the three lower realms, even if you have not received an empowerment. So it's not that when you receive an empowerment, you receive a samaya, and if you do not receive an empowerment, then there is no samaya. It's not at all like that, because we have said samaya is love. So therefore, whoever loses their love will go to the three lower realms. So it doesn't really make a difference whether or not you have received the empowerment in terms of that samaya of love. Need to repeat, please.
Samaya.
So basically what we just said is, if I lose my love to anger, then I will go to hell.
Oh, yeah.
And then also next in the text, and it says, and then you must not denigrate, you must not show contempt or disrespect the guru. And what that means is you have to consider my words, these words that are very precious. And so what are the words? The words are, you should not lose your love. Don't forget these words. And the next we will take refuge, and that's actually the essence of all the paths. It is first of all to have a wish to take refuge in the three jewels. Also, His Holiness the Karmapa when he gave teachings, he mentioned that for the mind to turn towards the Dharma, we need the refuge. So it's the refuge which makes the mind turn toward the Dharma, or become one with the Dharma.
Namo.
Namo. Repeat.
Garchen Rinpoche Taji Chudang Gedun Je Tawa Santang Sopuna Dane Kupe Japsun Che.
Namo. I take refuge in the peaceful and wrathful Buddhas, the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, the three roots, and the Vajramasta.
Tukwa Chibi Chechu Dokun Kobe Japtore Dove Ser Doku Sanje Kopan Topan Dopan Mumbasa Joko the Simchipan de Jidu Sun din Dadi the Sango Yore. There the Sango, the Niji Sango Yore. That's a Mumbasa Jok Sipti song.
So next we will repeat the supplication for the aspiration bodhicitta. And so this bodhicitta is this mind of awakening, enlightenment, which means in Tibetan Sangye. And Sang means to clear away. What needs to be cleared away is self-grasping. And Gye, the second syllable, means vast or expansive. So when self-grasping is cleared away, then compassion becomes vast. So next we will repeat the aspiration bodhicitta.
Gabo Pakistan, Loch Rolla, Chula, the Dogoretti, Chuchus Dogore, so the Sanchok Sibiri, Sanchok Sibiri Maso, Chuchus Dogo or Mari.
And Gambopa had said, after the mind has turned toward the Dharma, then the Dharma has to become the path, or the Dharma has to become the actual Dharma. And if you do not cultivate bodhicitta, then the Dharma will not become the path.
Devzong, Lami, Sangchop Par, Rodok Semji, Tamche La, Mata Poye, Deshi Che, Margar Jartang, Mator Jor, Wogba Sheba, Wog Yong Shen, Semji Yangi. Dengu sir. No. Yong Yangi. Dengu sir. Mumbasa Chok. Simchi also.
In English, alas, Guru and assembly of peaceful and wrathful deities, please consider me henceforth until attaining unsurpassed enlightenment. I will regard all sentient beings of the 6 realms of samsara like a mother sees her child. I will release those not released. I will liberate those not liberated. I will give breath to those without breath. I will establish all beings in nirvana. Yeah.
Magar Dardina, Misong with Simpi Tabje, Torigo Tabje. Bato Jordan, Torison and Woodland, the Jabrogan Joga Yinsi, Umasiba, what young Sington, Torison and Go daily, the Lambra Show daily, the Sanchok Seji, Sally Jogi Yinson, Robasam. That's a Mona Jazz, the Richagori, 하자도 빠치고 담지 미성성 토리좀나 계속 이 토리들 제마타들이 양들이 양 짜리도 말은 적다 짜리도 말은 적 내리 탐세들이 사족색 계속 봤을 때 마가다르 바도로 오마스 바보 용제들 너는 사족 샘지 주를 맞지나 자스 성어 그리고 용투기 요 말이지 타바고
So there were those 3 lines here in the end. I will release those not released. I will liberate those not liberated. I will give breath to those without breath. There is these 3 levels whereby we liberate sentient beings from samsara. So that's our aspiration. So the first one, I will release those not released, means that all those sentient beings who are now in the 3 lower realms, I will release them to the 3 higher realms. And then secondly, I will liberate those not liberated, and that is all those sentient beings who already are born in the higher realms. I will help them to enter the path of refuge. And then I will give breath to those without breath. That is, all those who have already taken refuge in the higher realms, I will cause them to enter the path of bodhicitta, cause them to give rise to bodhicitta. So in this way, we liberate sentient beings in 3 levels. That is the aspiration. So first, there are those sentient beings that are extremely negative and who are in the lower realms, have a lot of negative karma, and they are first liberated into the 3 higher realms. And then the moment they are born in the higher realms, they take refuge. And once they have taken refuge, then they cultivate the mind of bodhicitta. So this is how sentient beings become liberated. So in brief, if one does not give rise to bodhicitta, even if one goes for refuge, one will not have this breath here. So I will give breath to those without breath. One will be breathless without bodhicitta. Basically, the breath is the breath of liberation. So then next, then you think that now you know, oh, bodhicitta has so many great qualities. Now I will do that. I will engage in that. And so that is called engaging bodhicitta. In English, just as the Buddhas of the past observe the vows, I will bring forth engaging bodhicitta by practicing the 6 perfections and abandoning all unethical intentions from now on and until attaining enlightenment. And regarding the some mayas that we keep doing for an empowerment, people ask a lot of questions, and so therefore We explain this more carefully, and also this particular, the next Samaya that we repeat goes into that much more clearly. And so that is called the Samaya of the 5 Buddha families, which is the Samaya, the actual Samaya of the secret mantra. The Samaya, or the commitment of the Pratimoksha and the Bodhisattva path, is the 6 parameters. And according to the Vajrayana path, it is the Samayas of the 5 Buddha families, which we will repeat next. And so once you have understood their meaning, then in the future, remember the words of this supplication, because it really actually it comprises the essence of the Vajrayana practice. In English, for the Samaya of the 3 jewels, I will make effort to abandon faults and practice virtue. I will engage in Dharma activities such as writing, offering, speaking, or reading the teachings. I will keep my vows and abandon wrong views. For the Samaya of the 3 kayas, I will rest within the empty, open, non-conceptual mind. I will train in the visions of deities, bindu spheres, and strings. I will remain without affirming or negating. As for the Samaya of the view, meditation, and conduct, I will look at the nature of mind without a focal point. I will sustain unwavering, king-like mindfulness, and I will engage in actions at the proper time. For the Samaya of the basis, path, and result, I will clear away the stains of confused habitual tendencies. I will persevere in practicing the 10 virtues, and I will merge my mind with the Dharma. For the Supreme Samaya of the 5 Buddha families, I will adhere to the mudras represented by Vajra and bell. I will never abandon bodhicitta. I will always engage in the 4 types of giving. I will uphold the teachings of the 3 vehicles and the union of the generation and completion stages, and I will act for the benefit of beings with skillful means according to their needs. One more thing. I will do good with body, speech, and mind, and I will not allow myself to fall under the sway of destructive deeds.
오 득발라 용디 미장 득발라 샥베다 과데다 고요디 이송 냠소로 샥와제 거래 다다 소탈고 도마 무슨 미장 앞자 작성 요리도 영향되네 나와리는 소종 균이 거를 쫑만하고 소종 거를 소조제들이 라고 만약에 도와디야 소 냐바탐지 파종 되는 요바의 샥와제 되시니 득바 청청라 누가 첨보지나 마스하고 득바 탑지 다 그래 샤과도 양다양도 같이 신랑들이 야고요래 때는 따뜻한 춘 도지라 그러면 홍보스면 도티 사촉선바 소장 마성 도바 뛰는 니는 사촉선바 동 샤과를 돼서 홍보스면 도티 하적자 아치 버리 때 니리성 체리성 라다 들이때게 냠바 탑지 소주 마냥 공부 냠바 소주 찾게 요래 그때 하자기 지볼 마음으로 풍부스는 도시 들이 참하게 왕주자지 대 니리선 친리선 로나 들이지 내가 딱히 요래 들이 따뜻히 들이 가만히 있어 주로는 받으니 강아서 차강 배 들이 가만히 있으면서 자라나
And so even though you might receive many different empowerments and samayas, the samayas that we have just repeated now, belonging to the empowerment of the peaceful and wrathful deities, the Shitro, actually it's the essence of the 3 kinds of vows. So there's 3 levels of vows, of the Pratimoksha, of the Bodhisattva path, and the Vajrayana path. And the essence is what we have just recited. It's just that. And therefore, I advise you to really remember them. And also maybe you can download them. Also from the internet, you can take them so you can actually remember them. And then regarding, if you have any questions regarding those, then you have the kempos that you can ask questions. And so now when you don't understand and you see all of these samayas, and you might think that maybe you think that there is just too many samayas. Actually, it's not, because even though there are hundreds and thousands of samayas, actually they all are included within these 3 levels or 3 roots samaya. And in fact, it's really only the Buddha who can keep all those vows and all the samayas completely, because there's just so many. But if there are some that you cannot keep and maybe break, then you have to confess them. And it is said that, so generally, regarding these destructive deeds here, negative deeds, generally there's nothing good about them, of course. But if they would possess one good quality, then it is their potential to become completely purified through confession. So if you break your vows, then you should confess them and purify them that way. For example, just in the Pratimoksha alone, for the fully ordained vows, there are around like 253 vows. So there's lots of vows, and we might transgress them. And so for this reason, often the ordained, especially practice the sojong like about twice a month. And sojong means to purify and to restore. So means to restore, and jong means to purify. So what is restored, first, what is purified really is our negative actions, and we purify them if we regret them. And then through retaking them, then they are restored. So through this practice of taking those vows, then they are restored. So actually, if you have committed just a very small wrong thing, but you feel really strong regret about it, then along with that little thing, actually many past destructive deeds become purified. So that's why it's really important to practice confession, really again and again, repeatedly. And there's also something to recite for the confession, and that's the Tri Skanda Sutra, which is the 3-hip sutra. And when you read that sutra, that actually purifies all transgressions of the 3 levels of vows, of Pratimoksha, Bodhisattva, and Vajrayana vehicles. And also, it contains this section, which is called the confession from downfalls from bodhicitta. It would be good to recite that part of confession 3 times a day and 3 times at night. If you do that every day, and then all decline, all transgressions and breaches will become purified, and vows will become restored, and virtue increases. So it's extremely important that you do that in the future, to recite the 3-hip sutra and this section of confession. Especially all of those who have received the empowerment, it would be good if you would recite that 6 times a day. So 3 times like during the day, and 3 times in the periods of the night. And then if you do so, then all the negativities become purified. So now, Dharma friends, we will take a break for 20 minutes. So please rest, go to a restroom, and see you in 20 minutes.
Over Sangha,